Then finally, we are live. We've finally been allowed to go live. Welcome to One Crack News. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened and transpired. They wouldn't let me go live. So glad we're back. Glad we're live. So we can actually speak on it. Uh, New evidence is and the Shannon Sharp, not Shannon Sharp, and the Donald Trump and President Donald Trump now, but he wasn't at the time, and his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, there has been the U.S. Justice Department had files when they questioned Epstein, and they actually questioned him about Donald Trump. And he's on tape answering these questions.
Guys, a number of stunning things have happened. From a deposition of Jeffrey Epstein, which has the question of whether he's ever been with Donald Trump and under 18-year-old girls.
Ooh.
Wow. So I'm going to give you that answer in a second. And we'll show you the tape tomorrow when the show is live at 6 o'clock Eastern. As we told you late in the show today, live breaking news, the Oversight Committee has basically said no to Donald Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson. They voted 8-2, 3 Republicans flipping, including Nancy Mace, and saying, yes, we'd like to subpoena the Epstein documents from the Justice Department. That is a shocking turn of events.
Wow.
One shocking thing after another. And of course, earlier in the day, Wall Street Journal broke the story of Pam Bondi telling Donald Trump back in May, yes, you're on that Epstein list. And I've got more people on the list that has looked. This is things that were known before. We've actually talked about this on the Young Turks before, many years ago. But now these lists are resurfacing, and there's something terrific about it. First of all, those people on the list are stunning. Now, I want to be clear. These are not people we know for sure committed sex acts with underage girls. They are people that are on Jeffrey Epstein's phone book, but there's a specific category that I want to tell you about that is really fascinating. And Trump is listed and has 14 different numbers listed under Trump in his book, and I think there's a reason for that as well. So there's a lot to get to. I'm going to get to it as quickly as I can. First, I got to tell you about the most important thing, which is this deposition from March 17th, 2010, that ABC News has uncovered. So in it, you see Epstein, and the attorney asks him, first, he says, have you, had a personal relationship with Donald Trump? And Epstein asks him to clarify. He clarifies, hey, did you used to basically party with him? And Epstein says yes. Then he asks him, attorney, have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump? I'm sorry, yeah. This is where he says yes. And then the attorney asks, have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18? Get a load of Epstein's answer. Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir. In other words, he pled the 5th on whether he and Donald Trump were with 18-year-old girls or younger together. Okay, Donald Trump has said in the past that if you plead the 5th, that means you're guilty. That's his quote, okay? Or that's a paraphrase of it, but it's nearly identical to that. So, interesting. Can you say for sure, 100%, that means Trump did it? No, you can't say it for 100%, right? But now, I mean, if I'm Donald Trump, think about it, right? If I'm Donald Trump and I didn't do it, how motivated would I be to release all the files to prove that I didn't do it? I mean, because him and Epstein were great friends for 2 decades. Everybody knows that. Nobody disputes that. Trump said he's a terrific guy and he likes girls on the younger side. No one can dispute that. He definitely said that in 2002. Now we know he was on one of the lists. That doesn't mean that he did it, but he's obviously associated with Epstein. Then we've seen now, dozens of pictures and videos of them together and partying together and surrounded by girls. I mean, given all that context, if you're Donald Trump and you're innocent, wouldn't you want those files out immediately to prove your innocence?
No, because all the files are going to do is prove that I knew Jeffrey Epstein, which is no surprise. Just because he know Jeffrey Epstein doesn't mean that he approves of Jeffrey Epstein's lifestyle or anything that Epstein does. Does not prove that. It just proves that I know Jeffrey Epstein. That's it. Now, unless you can prove that he was in an act, then that would be something else. Now, a lot of people would find this as misleading because here's the main thing that you need to be in remembrance of is that it's not about what you think you know. It's about what you can prove. It's never been proven that there is a list. And he keeps saying you're on that list. That Pam Bundy told Trump he was on that list. There is no list. There is no client list. So he's actually twisting words to make them try to look like something that they're not. Mm-hmm. No, there is no list. There is a file in which they have a report in the file in which people names are mentioned. He has a phone book contacts in his phone, and he has numbers for each person in there who is a contact. But other than that, there's no other reasons for them to engage or involve in the situations. Naturally, you're going to have people who stand out regularly. You're going to have people who are joining something or being a part of something. And it's cool. It's cool. So we get it. We understand people time is of essence and they don't have a lot of time to waste. But this is why I always tell people make sure you understand the people you're getting in business with or the people that you're dealing with on a regular basis. Mainly because things are always kept separate when it comes down to the main event or the main story in which is outlaid before you. Well, many people have different feelings when it comes to what they want to own, what they don't want to own, who they like, who they dislike, uh, things of that nature, and they might have a political agenda. But the facts are the facts. His name is mentioned multiple times in the files, but not for anything of him dealing with underage girls or anything nefarious. They know this, or they would have reported it by now. They would have used it. The Department of Justice would have leaked that out by now if there was something with Trump on there, him doing something nefarious. So they're trying to use your imagination. Well, the use your imagination game has been in play for years. Hmm. So I get what he's trying to do is saying where there's smoke, there's fire. If you're going to do that, you can't just single out one person as they do on the other side. You want to single out Donald Trump, you would have to single out every single body that was on that list when there was smoke. There was a big smoke and there was a big fire. It wasn't just Donald Trump being there and being friends with the guy. A lot of guys was friends with this guy in the late 90s. So early 90s too. So, he was one of their friends, but doesn't mean that everybody knew his lifestyle. So that one I would agree on. Now, there was a distancing from Donald Trump before. It wasn't like he was still friends with Epstein when Epstein got, into all of this trouble. They weren't speaking for years before that happened. And they know this already. But this is just something they could find to spin around. There's new video of Trump speaking with Epstein at a beauty, like a fashion show or something in Milan or something. It's just a bunch of nothing. It's a big social gathering, a lot of people there. So it's just something to smear his name. But let's listen.
Okay, so say that the files are not out is they think is better for the people that are listed in those files. I don't think so. If you're guilty, then yeah, you right. But if you're not guilty, you should want it, shout it from the rooftops and show all the files. At least Alan Dershowitz is savvy enough, whether it's true or untrue, it's impossible to know, where he says, no, I want the files released because I didn't do anything wrong. I kept my shorts on. Okay, but we don't know whether to believe him or not. That's why they should be released. So it's great that the Oversight Committee said, yes, let's subpoena those documents so that we can see them. That doesn't mean you're going to get to see them right away. Congress would get to see them first. And plus, it's not set in stone yet because James Comer has to agree. He has to sign off on it. And last I checked, news is flying in today. He had not signed off on it yet. Okay, now let me read you the other folks that were on in his phone book. Again, he partied with a lot of people. The fact that they're on the phone book doesn't mean that they did the terrible acts. But by the way, I will also say, for the people who went to the private island, that's pretty bad, man. Like, what did you think was happening on the private island? Why did you go? Did you go to play tennis? I'd be surprised if everyone who went to the island didn't know what was on the island. At a bare minimum, they know girls are on the island. They know females are on the island. Did they know that they were women or girls? I don't know. But that's because the government won't ever tell us. And if you're in any camp, right, left, middle, doesn't matter, that says, no, the government shouldn't tell us. What a weird camp. Who's in that camp? Ben Shapiro's in that camp. Mark Levin is in that camp. There's a couple other people in that camp. But they're like, no, not the Epstein files. It's a super strange thing to say. Because whether you want to find out and bring the guilty to justice, that would be a dream, right? Or, by the way, show that the folks that are on that list, some of them are innocent, right? Figure who's did it, who didn't do it, who's innocent, who's guilty. That should be paramount to all of us. Okay, so now, there was a Vice article back in 2016 that listed these folks. So in his phone book were Prince Bandar of Saudi Arabia. If you guys don't remember, he was the ambassador to the United States for a long time. I believe he was also the ambassador to the United Nations for Saudi Arabia. And he was one of the most connected men in D.C. So, we often talk about how connected the Israeli government is for good reason. But the Saudi government is also enormously connected for a long time. We talk about how America needlessly protects Israeli interests. And like if it was just Israel doing normal things, fine, but we protect them even when they do terrible things. But also true of the Saudis. Remember, after 9/11, we got all the bin Ladens out of the country, got them right out into Saudi Arabia. Saudis didn't do that. We did that. George W. Bush said, oh my God, protect the bin Ladens, and got them out of the country. So weird. So weird. Anyway, Prince Bandar was on his phone book. Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of UK, former Utah Governor, Republican presidential candidate John Huntsman. There's a library named after him and at Penn, or his dad, or some rich person in that family. Senator Ted Kennedy, Henry Kissinger, including major political contributors, David Koch. Oh, the Koch brothers. So David Koch has passed away, but his brother Charles Koch is still around. But Charles is not on the list. Pepe Fanjul, and I actually don't even know that guy. But look, to look at not everybody on the in the phone book is guilty. There's also plenty of women on the list and ones that are unlikely to have participated. So Ivana, Trump's first wife, is in the phone book. Again, not surprising since he knows Trump so well and they're such good friends. But also his Trump's daughter Ivanka and Trump's brother Robert. Right? I don't think Ivanka did anything. Okay, she was way too young at the time, and that doesn't make any sense. Okay, now here comes a super interesting part. Okay, according to that Vice article from back in the day, Epstein created a number of other odd categories, including one called Jeffrey. Okay, so when someone does a file and it's named something weird and not logical, usually they're putting something in there that they don't want you to know what the real title of it is, right? So this one's labeled Jeffrey. Could it mean people who were, that Jeffrey had stuff on, new details about? Jeffrey's got him on lock, whatever Jeffrey means. But when you look at the list, the first guy on the list is Ehud Barak, visited Epstein 30 times, former prime minister to Israel. So is it because Epstein is connected to Israel, or was Ehud Barak just a client? But even if the Israeli prime minister is a client, I mean, that is a hell of a thing, right? So 30 times is super suspicious, man, or as the kids say, sus. Okay, Dershowitz, also under Jeffrey, okay? At the time, Senator John Kerry obviously ran for president on the Democratic side. Former senator and lobbyist George Mitchell, a heavyweight, big heavyweight when I was growing up and for a long time in Washington. And then powerhouse DC lobbyist Thomas Quinn and David Rockefeller. Wow, this is a hell of a name. Now, I'm going to get to Trump on the phone book in a second. First, GR, thanks for being a member. It's questioning whether Ivanka knew or didn't know. I have no idea, right? But I would have her at the bottom of the list of people that I suspect. But I love the members. I love the super chats. Thanks, guys, for doing all that. And make sure.
Yeah, so again, all over the place. And it's a nothing burger. So I appreciate the report, but this is what being thirsty for a report looks like. He's using the where there's smoke, there's fire logic, but when they use it against the Democrats, it doesn't normally go in that way, in that favor. This is a made-for-TV movie. Yeah, that's what it's starting to look like. Uh-oh, United, the number one top fans. Well, I wouldn't know about convicted felon, but definitely on the level. Well, we'll see when it all boils down, and we'll see which way it's the direction is going to go, and people can make their own observations. But as of right now, this is pretty much, how they're going to move. Just smear campaign. So you'll see CNN or MSNBC go heavy on this, but really there's nothing here. They're going to try to continuously go down this list. If somebody has names in a phone book, you're not going to be able to know. He took the fifth on everything, basically. But they focus mainly with Donald Trump because he's, of course, the president of the United States. So that was just very telling. So we'll see how it plays out. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life. Welcome to HD IITV. Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez, wherever he's at. Haven't seen him in a while. Hopefully he's doing well. 78 Sports TV, Blood Boxing, T-Style Boxing. Everybody, man, that's doing it the right way. And we out, man. Be blessed.